Go to hell, people! Welcome back to another episode of I Am I. My name is Joshua Ansley, or so I have been identifying for the last 38 years or so. And this week we're going to talk about going to hell, which is really basically the biggest compliment you could tell somebody, you know? It's actually helping them in a way. For those of us who have been to hell, we know that hell is very real. You know, it's not just some fairy tale and some story, and it's, you know, told to children in this fear-mongering sort of religious thing that is not reality. But in actuality, it's be careful not to throw out the baby with the bathwater, which happens a lot. I mean, I love scriptural text, I love the Bible, and there's a lot of clandestine, arcane, metaphysical knowledge in there that is underneath all the abused teachings that it has, right? There's some really, really powerful stuff there. But it's the same idea with this concept of heaven and hell, but the idea is that hell is very real, and it's a state of mind. For those of us who've been there, you know, they say that religion is for those of us that are afraid to go to hell, and spirituality is for those of us that have been there. And for those of us that have been there and come back, we recognize that it is a state of mind. And that's what Jesus was talking about when he's talking about the kingdom of heaven is at hand. It is at hand. We have been given the keys, and right now what is possible is to step into the state of mind of heaven, right? It is happening right now. There's no second coming, there's no later, there's no afterlife. That's not what it's about. It's not after it. This is the life we have right now. I mean, look at this place, right? They say it's the richest place in the world. So we take charge of our lives. We take charge of our emotional states. And the first thing we need to do is how we understand how we relate to ourselves, right? We get ourselves grounded. If you're using, you know, chakra work, the lower three chakras are in this physical realm, right? So the first one, Muladhara, is about safety, stability, strength, your ancestry, grounding down into the earth. It's security. It's understanding and healing spaces down so we are strong and steady and stable so that we can root down to rise up into higher places. And that's what needs to happen. When we get that stability, we get that strength in our lives and understand that as a state of mind, right? We release that trauma, whatever it is, and when we get ourselves into that position, then we arm ourselves. We arm ourselves with the protection of something even larger. Have I not commanded you? Do not be discouraged. Do not be afraid, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you will go. And we arm ourselves and we step consciously down into that hell, right? See, what happens is when we take charge of our lives like that, there are these lower energies, these lower thought waves. If you want to talk about scientifically, psychologically, emotionally, or whatever. My only issue with science, and it's not with science, because science is beautiful, and if you've seen my other vlogs, I'm very much logical and scientific, but it's limited, because it's only limited to this understanding. It's using what we have, and this is what scientists claim, you know, it's using what we have to proceed to something else. But that is such a small little spectrum of reality, and it limits ourselves. So I'm all about continuing down that road, but don't just dismiss everything else that it's not real just because we can't prove it. It's crazy. So we understand, if we understand within ourselves that we are consciously stepping into that place, then everything bows down before us, right? The demons are afraid. They thrive on fear. These lower energy systems thrive on you being afraid of them. That's what they feed on. You know, it's like a dog attacking or something like that. It'll sense your fear. If you're not fearful, if you are still and calm, you know, you become one with everything. If we can control ourselves in that way, and if we can understand through that deeper sense, that sense of strength and stability, then we can step into these places consciously. And those demons will run. Now, some of them will stay and fight, right? There's always going to be more. Some of them will be like the stronger ones, the deeper ones, and that's why we have to be careful. That's why it's not pride and ego and us. Those are more demons, right? It's not just me. It's something larger. So we step into understanding who we are. We look at the hell that we have created in our lives, right? And it's about personal responsibility. It's not about blame. I talked about this before. It's a very difficult understanding for victimhood, you know? It's really understanding a deeper sense of how we've created these emotional states within inside of ourselves, and they become addictive. We don't even see what's on the other side. You know, we have to be very, very careful. And that's why they talk about not doing this work on your own, you know, because you can get lost down there. You can very, very much get lost down there. But stepping consciously into it, that right there, so much of it clears up. Because when you're willing to step into hell, when you're willing to take charge of your life and look at yourself and see what we have created and see that the mindset that we have developed for ourselves, the psychology that we have developed for ourselves is what keeps us in hell. Because there is no difference between when we feel absolutely a mess and distraught and miserable and terrified and when we are actually feeling absolutely perfect and pure and alive and loving and caring. There's no difference in the outer world. It's all about how we're relating to the world. So be brave. Know that you are protected. Know that you are strong. Get yourself safe and step down into hell. You know, there's this whole thing of, you know, this is coming up on Easter, right? And my boy JC, good dude, right? Died, resurrected. You know, this myth is present in all religions and cultures around the world, right? Died and resurrected, born of a virgin. These are all everywhere. And this doesn't diminish anything, right? It's just understanding that the myth is present everywhere. What does that mean? It's because it's him who was stepping down into hell. He was consciously looking at the hell inside of himself and transforming it into a veritable heaven here and now in our lives exactly as we are. And that doesn't diminish my boy JC, right? It's just that it's present everywhere. So it's like, well, then we go, well, it's just myth. What do you mean just myth? Why does myth even exist? Why is that a running theme through the subconscious of humanity? Joseph Campbell's Power of Myth, check it out. I mean, it's extremely powerful, these archetypes. And if we understand them in our lives, if we consciously step into them inside of ourselves, it is a personal experience. It's not just even understanding these concepts, but being willing to step into ourselves, to get to know who we truly are underneath all that stuff, to dig in and rip it all apart, pull the layers away, get into a nice place, steadiness and ease, and let heaven just blossom in our lives. So I tell you, my friends, go to fucking hell. What? Too much? Snare family knows. Svalron Musalbs in the Vet and see it.